Jonathan Beddoes. I am staff support here at the Transitions Men's side and a recovery coach. I've been in recovery for about 2 years now, off and on before that. It all started probably around 2001. I was going through a rough divorce. My occupation was an underground miner, and I lost a friend in the mine. I had a real bad accident, and going through a divorce, and then, it all kind of a perfect storm, so to speak. And I just ended up getting into alcohol, and just running crazy with it for so long. And it only was able to last about 5 years or so, and hit rock bottom there, and ended up getting into AA. Realized I had a problem, and I went out contract mining from that point, all over the country, different parts of the U.S., and ended up back home in Huntington Canyon in a coal mine, and got caved on, slabbed, messed up my shoulder pretty good, and the surgeon prescribed Oxycontin, and so I just switched addictions. And once I found out I was addicted to that, I couldn't stop. I was cut off from the doctor. Realized that this is really bad. Ended up selling everything I own. Homeless on the streets. Started committing crimes. Ended up in jail. Off and on a few times. Probation for about 5 years. I did probation for about 5 years. Had relapsed after that, and I was, as soon as I got off paper and I'd relapsed, I was like, I gotta leave. I don't want to end up in prison. And so I went to Phoenix, and did okay there for a little while, and had some ups and downs. And I would get some stints of sobriety. I'd put together 4 years, and found out that I had some tumors in my lungs, and just kind of slipped back into that old addictive thinking, not reaching out to the right sources, and just had a fall off, kind of, right back homeless, right back on the streets, that whole bit. And 2 years ago, I had had enough. I wanted my family back. I wanted a life. And I saved up some money, and somehow, for the first time, I never went to the dealer with it. I ended up buying a plane ticket, and I came back to my home state of Utah. And when I landed, I had like 37 cents in my pocket, and went through a pretty rough detox there at the Volunteers of America, the Men's Social Detox Center. Caught COVID in the middle of that fentanyl withdrawal, and it was pretty brutal for a couple of months. Over time, my brain started coming back and getting a little bit more healthier. I was able to get a job in recovery, and I think that's what's made the difference. It's kept me on an even playing field in the community. I think, because I'm not on the street side, and I'm a part of it more, if that makes sense. I want to be in a community where I'm supported, and for that to happen, I have to support the community.
What are the feelings like in active addiction when you're still trying to find the right path?
It's that hopelessness, that self-doubt and the bitterness will run me through, because I'm so mad at myself. I'm so mad at the world. I remember around Christmas time, people were out shopping, and I was just sitting on a bench, and I was just like, I was wishing that somebody would just take me home. It was that bad. It was like the most self-defeated I've ever been in my life. Starving to death. I wasn't taking care of myself. I got down to 143 pounds. It took, like I mentioned a little earlier about the brain thing, I was scared of everything. I remember I left a treatment center in Phoenix, Mesa, and I was so out of it and so dehydrated in my brain because the weather is so hot, plus the substance that's acting with that. I left without my belongings, without my shoes, anything. And you're not allowed to go back in a certain amount of period, a certain time frame. And so by the time I got across the street, I had no shoes. It's 125 degrees. My jaw locked because I was so dehydrated, and I should have been in the hospital. And so I couldn't talk. I mean, it was locked solid. I think it was like a 4-day period. It took me from Mesa to get to Phoenix. And I was sitting on the bus stop one night, and a bus stopped. And I don't know why I got on, but I got on. And my feet were so swollen and hamburgered. They were just bleeding all over the center of the bus, and everybody moved to the back. The smell must have been. And this gentleman walked up and sat next to me and opened up a brand new pair of Air Jordans.
Wow.
And I'm just bawling. He's bawling. The bus driver's bawling. And man, it was incredible. And I couldn't even thank him because my jaw I couldn't even talk. And it was just like that one act of kindness. And we got off the bus and we were talking afterward and ended up getting me back into that place, but it was in Phoenix instead of the Mesa program. And so there are angels out there, and there are people that care. And yeah, Phoenix was really tough. I had nobody down there. And it was like, the reason I wanted to go down there was like, I'm either going to make it or I'm not. And I would get to that point where I was just about to go under, like not going to make it, and something would happen. And yeah, and ultimately I'm here. And so Tooele of all places, and it's exciting because my family's in the state of Utah. So, and they're back in my life. And so, yeah, it's the simple things. I think I've tended to step over the simple things, looking for something bigger, more grandiose, I guess. And I didn't realize that I'm more content with just a simple life and just taking care of my basic needs. And for so long, I had neglected those.
I always say we're still human. We're still a son. We're still fathers. We're still productive people in society that just happen to be in the wrong place in life. Can you maybe speak more on that?
Being in the wrong place in life?
Yeah, just being, obviously you're here now, right? So do you feel like you always knew you can end up here?
Yeah, I think so. I spent a lot of years in the underground mining industry, and I was productive. I was set, basically. I knew what I was capable of, and then when that reflection didn't match up, when I was, on the reverse of that, I was always trying to shoot for that. And so when it started to emerge that I can do this, and I had the support behind me that believed in me, it just all started coming back. It took a minute. It took a minute, surely. But I have that old fire lit inside of me again, so, yeah.
What are you most proud of when you look back over the last crazy 4 years, harder 4 years you've had of your life?
The most proudest is those little decisions. Handing that money over for a plane ticket. And then when things didn't work out the way they were going to work out, I still made an effort to go to the next place, to have a plan B. I didn't want to be homeless on the streets of Salt Lake now. And so I think it's a whole bunch of little decisions that ultimately led me here. So.
Do you feel like part of you coming back home was knowing that, like, oh man, I don't want to face that winter cold, so I better figure something out and kind of light that fire into my butt? Yeah, truly. And it was cold. When I landed at the airport, I had my backpack. I didn't even have a coat because I came from Phoenix, and it was like probably 11 o'clock, and I didn't have money for the train. And so I got booted off the train immediately. So I walked to LDS Hospital that night, and I had every piece of clothing I had on. And I didn't even get in that night. And so I was trying to figure it out for a couple of days before I actually got into the Volunteers of America. But
But yeah, that fire stayed lit for some reason, and I don't know how it did, because I was pretty crazy in the mind, So
if you had to explain what it's like being sober and productive now in your current role, how does that feel, or how would you explain that?
It feels fulfilling. I've been given so many wonderful gifts in this journey. Compassion, receiving the gift of compassion, to know what it's like to be out there and to have depleted faculties and not knowing what the right decision is, and to gain trust in someone, to have an individual sit down with you and just spend time, and they don't have to beat you down or belittle you. I never got any of that. It was just compassion, and it was so impactful in my life. I talk about that reflection. I want to give it back to the next person, and it's kind of ironical that this half of my life I'm getting into recovery. When I was so bad at the underground mining, I had all that addiction, and it was kind of like that paradigm shift, But I feel like I'm right where I need to be. Yeah.
I think that's amazing, man. I would ask you too, what would you have to say to anyone directly in the camera if they're going through addiction and want to find hope or sobriety? What would you tell them?
That you're known, and that you are loved, and that there are people out there that will help you every step of the way. They will walk you into a new life, and they will support you. They might not tell you everything you want to hear, but they will help you.